All right, well, it is 10 after.
Let's get started.
So, welcome everybody. We're very excited for you to be joining us today. Um, a couple of things before we get started. We are going to ask you if you can move our image to the right hand side of the screen, as well as place the chat box on the right hand side. This will help make sure that those two are not blocking anything if you're in full view, full screen mode. If you're out of full screen mode, the nice thing is the chat box will actually go to the side. So,
Our, our students will need either just a sheet of paper, or if you have a science journal or a field journal, something they could write down in or maybe sketch in, a pencil to do those things. And then if your class or you are participating in the food part of this, you will have those food items in front of you. If you don't have any food items, it's 100% okay. And we're just going to kind of pretend along with you.
And then today we are going to have different ways of interacting. As you can see, we're going to be using that chat box window throughout our time, as well as there's going to be times where we're going to take polls. Also, we're going to turn and talk to a partner sitting next to you if you happen to see that icon of two people chatting. If you don't have somebody to talk to, you can also use that chat box to let us know what you are thinking. All right, well, I think it's time for us to start.
Right, welcome to Spooktacular Skulls.
We are very excited for you to be joining us today. We are coming live from the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, California. And to know exactly where that's at, we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at our planet here and kind of zoom on in to our museum.
Here we are. There's California, getting closer to the Bay Area, right down into San Francisco, down in the Golden Gate Park, and there we are.
Now, this is the outside of our museum, which I think is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Well, I think what's inside is very special.
Oh, so inside our museum, we actually have a planetarium, a rainforest. Our roof is a living roof, which means we have different plant life on there. And then down in the basement, we have not only our aquarium, but some other spooky stuff.
Like our collections room, where we are right now. So we have thousands of skulls in our collections, and we get to explore them. In fact, I think I see one right now behind me.
This one's looking at us.
Huh. That kind of seems a little familiar.
A little familiar.
What do you all think?
Ooh. Seeing a lot of human skull.
Yeah. I'm noticing some things that are similar to my skull. I see the teeth kind of look like my teeth.
And the eyes are kind of where your eyes are.
In the front of my head.
But it's a little tricky just because it doesn't have like skin or hair on it.
Yeah, it doesn't have that hair. Kind of don't get to see the different kind of features we see every day on other people.
So I think it's a little bit of a mystery.
Well, I think some of the things on our skulls can tell us things. They can reveal some things about the animal that they are. To understand these a little bit more, we should be science detectives.
Oh, yes, we should.
So we would like you all to become science detectives with us and explore some of our mystery skulls today. And to do that, we're going to ask you all to become scientist detectives by taking our scientist pledge to remind yourselves of those skills that we need to be science detectives.
All right, and to do this, I'm going to have everybody raise a hand, and you're going to repeat after me. Today, I will be a science detective.
Today I will be a science detective.
Means that I will look closely.
Means I will look closely.
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Listen to others.
Listen to others.
Think deeply.
Think deeply.
To try to understand.
To try to understand.
The world around me.
The world around me.
All right. Congratulations, scientists. I think we're ready to start on our first mystery.
Yeah, I think this first mystery, we're going to take a bite into it.
Ooh.
Well, let's go ahead and we're going to look at our first mystery, skulls. And I would like you to look closely. What do you notice about the teeth of these skulls? Hmm. So we're starting to see that some of the skulls, like the one on the bottom, has some kind of very sharp teeth. Kind of reminds me of my sharp teeth that I have right here on the side. Also, we see like at the top, there's some long teeth in the front. Kind of looks a little sharp, maybe. Kind of reminds me of those kind of like front teeth.
Yeah.
Kind of thin. And also, I see some of the people are looking at the back teeth.
Yeah, and they're saying that they're quite a bit different than the ones in the front.
Yeah, kind of flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? We have similar teeth to these animals.
Oh.
Why don't we use our teeth to try to figure out what we do to, how we use these teeth to eat, to figure out what these animals eat.
Got it. So we'll use our teeth to see how we eat different things, and then that can tell us a little bit more about these skulls' teeth.
All right. Well,
cool.
Let's go ahead and get those food items out. If they're not already in front of you, go ahead and pass those out now. We'll take a moment and pause for you to be able to grab them. All right. So our first food item that we're going to use are maybe apples or strawberries or even some celery.
I have an apple slice.
And what we're going to do before we bite in or chew or chomp into this food, we're going to ask you all to think about what teeth you might use to eat this food item. And then when you're actually eating it, what was the first tooth you used to chew, bite, or chomp into this food item?
Okay.
All right, are we ready? Let's go ahead. Let's eat our first food item. What do you think? What was the first tooth that you used to bite, chew, or chomp into this food item?
Yeah, I did the same thing. I used my front teeth, and they kind of like kind of sliced through
Okay.
the apple. And so then once there was a piece in my mouth, I could move it to the back.
And then use kind of
Kinda like,
those back teeth to kind of grind or,
Mhm.
or chew on them.
but that first bite was with those front teeth.
Oh, I see some of our science detectives using a science word to describe these front teeth as incisors. So, okay, good to know. These front teeth, these incisors are there to kind of slice into some food. Okay, so that's kind of good to remember. All right, what about our second food item? If you happen to have any popcorn, nuts, or pretzels, go ahead and grab those now.
I have a pretzel.
All right, and go ahead, think about what tooth you're going to probably use, and then go ahead and eat. Mm. That was yummy popcorn.
Kettle corn?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our science detectives are saying that they're using their kind of back teeth.
Back teeth, yeah. I did the same. It went right back, and I used these teeth. And I see some of our scientists are using that science word for these back teeth, which are our molars. And then I used my molars to kind of grind it down.
Okay, so those back teeth, those flat teeth are there to kind of grind. Grind things up. All right, and we have some other scientists agreeing with everybody. All right, so we have one more food item for today, and that is either a piece of baguette, maybe some dried fruit, also maybe some jerky. So go ahead and grab those food items or that food item, and think about first, what teeth or tooth do you think you're going to use first? Okay. Go ahead and take a bite, chew, or chomp into it. Oh, all right.
Yeah, those front side teeth.
Yeah, a lot of them are saying those kind of front side teeth. Also using the science word canines to use, and they kind of just ripped it.
I ripped my baguette, and then I kind of was able to use my molars to.
Yeah, so those kind of front sharp teeth are there for kind of ripping things, and we had meat on that, so makes me think it's there. Those are there for like ripping meat.
Yeah.
So maybe anything that eats meat, they're gonna have those sharp teeth.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to do it with just the molars or the incisors.
No, it'd be kind of hard.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of learned a little bit more about what teeth are used for different things. Our front are kind of there for slicing, maybe some vegetables.
Yeah. Maybe some grass, maybe like if you think about eating lettuce, even just like ripping it off there. And then we have our molars, which then kind of help us grind down what it is we're eating. And those canines that are there for ripping things off.
Okay, so if we kind of know what teeth are used for different things, if we look closely at some of those skulls that we were looking at earlier and figure out what teeth they have, maybe we can figure out what they actually eat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a closer look at these animal skulls. So we're going to look at our first one, the top one. Let's look closely at the type of teeth it has. So some of our science detectives are seeing kind of those front teeth.
Yeah.
Might be used for maybe like cutting into maybe some like trees or bark. And then some of our other science detectives are seeing kind of those kind of the back molars.
Yeah.
There to kind of grind. Ah.
Oh, yeah.
So some of our science detectives are using a science word to describe the type of animal it is, as a herbivore, something that only eats vegetables or plants and stuff like that. Okay.
And that's interesting that we can figure that out just by looking at its teeth.
Yeah. So, well, let's go ahead and look at our second animal skull that we were looking at earlier. What do we notice about this animal? Mm. Yeah, we're seeing lots of sharp teeth.
Yeah. And the back teeth
Yeah.
for grinding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have kind of those sharp, those canines, and also they have the incisors and even the molars back there. A lot of our science detectives think that they are going to be meat eaters.
Oh yeah, because it has those teeth to help them kind of rip that meat up.
And I'm also seeing another science word to help describe this meat eater as a carnivore. So we have herbivore, which only eats plants, and then we have the carnivore that eats meat.
And I know I eat both plants and meat. And so am I something different?
You are. It's actually called an omnivore.
Oh, cool.
So that omnivore is going to be able to eat both plants and meat.
Cool.
So we were looking at some of the skulls, and the first skull that we were looking at that Eileen is going to share with us today is actually our gray fox. And then our second skull, our herbivore, was a jackrabbit. So we were looking at some of our mystery skulls a little bit closer, and we actually were able to solve the mystery of the teeth.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
So I think the next mystery that we have today is going to be kind of looking us straight in the face.
This guy.
Yeah, kind of like this one. So
what mystery is that, Jackie?
I think that one is about where the eyes are.
Oh.
So do all animals have their eyes in front like we do? Let's take a close look. What do you notice about where the eye sockets of these skulls are? So we're noticing that one of these skulls has their eyes on the side.
On the side, yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Well, we have our eyes in the front. So I wonder what would be the difference.
Yeah, why would some animals have it on the side and some have them in the front?
Well, let's figure out first, using our bodies as our models, of how far we can see with our eyes in the front
Great.
of our skull.
I have the perfect activity for this,
Okay.
but I'm going to need some space.
Okay, I'll step aside.
All right, so I'm going to ask everybody to stand on up. And once you have some space, you're going to put your thumbs out in front of you like this. Okay, I'll give you a moment to do that. All right. So you're going to find a spot maybe on the wall in front of you, and I want you to focus on that spot. And you're not going to look away from there as you start to slowly move your thumbs like this so that they open up. Now, when you get to a point where you can't see your thumbs anymore, I want you to stop. So I'm going to start. I can see them, they're right in front of me. Oh, and as they get further and further, oh, I can't see them anymore. So I can only see what's in this sort of region in front of me, which is super interesting because that means I can't see anything behind me.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So I wonder why it would be important to just see in front of us. Well, let's think about also what it might be like if we had our eyes to the side of us.
Yeah, so go ahead and turn and talk with a partner about what you think it would be like if you had your eyes on the side of your skull. Yeah. Definitely could see our thumbs better as they got to the side.
Oh, interesting.
But would it be harder to see them if they were in front?
Well, we can actually test this out.
Oh, great.
So what we can do is we can actually take a closer look at our skulls and see where their eyes are. And then we can also figure out how far they can see by tracing out
their sort of range of vision.
Range of vision. So we have one skull that has its eyes on the side. We're going to go ahead and test that out in just a sec.
Oh, interesting. So it can see quite a bit, like to the side and behind it.
But I definitely can't see like really directly in front of them. Yeah, the eyes on the side, we can see to the side of us and a little bit actually behind us.
And what would the benefit of that be? How would that help an animal if it could see a little bit behind?
What do you all think? Oh, it looks like a lot of our science detectives think that maybe being able to see something sneaking up on it would be able to help it out.
Yeah, and they're using a pretty great science word. They're saying they'd be able to see if a predator was sneaking up on it. And so that predator would be the animal hunting it.
Okay.
Which would then make that
a prey animal. All right, so let's think about this. So if the eyes are on the side, they're going to be able to maybe see something sneaking up. So that makes it a prey animal. And then if its eyes are in front, What does that make it? What do you think? If we look back at our skull that had the eyes in the front, what does that make it? Oh, a prey animal. So that's the one that's going to be, or sorry, predator. Yeah.
The predator is going to have the eyes in the front so that they can be the ones sneaking up onto that prey.
All right. So our prey is doing the hiding, and our predator is the one that's going to be doing the sneaking.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right. Actually, I have a really cool rhyme that helps us remember this that I heard. Eyes to the side likes to hide.
Ooh, eyes to the side likes to hide.
And then eyes to the front likes to hunt.
Eyes to the front likes to hunt. Cool.
Yeah. So we were able to look at a couple of different animals today, and our predator was a bobcat. We happen to have one with us today. You take a close look. And then our prey animal was a white-tailed deer. All right, so today, as science detectives, we're trying to figure out these mysteries, and we figured out the mysteries of the eyes and where they're placed, and we also figured out the mysteries of the teeth. We actually happen to have some mystery skulls with us today that we need some help figuring out if it's a predator or a prey, or a carnivore, which is a meat eater, herbivore, which is a plant eater, or an omnivore, which is a little bit of both. A little bit of both. So we're going to be sharing some images of some of these mystery skulls that we have, and we need your help to figure these things out. We're going to use a poll to vote on what you think it is as a class. All right, so first we're going to take a look just at the skulls themselves, then you will see our poll pop up. All right, take about 30 more seconds. All right, let's go ahead and see what everybody thinks. Well, looks like everybody who voted said it was a predator.
Yeah, and I wonder if it was because they were looking at where those eyes are.
Oh yeah, I see that it's kind of in the front of its skull. And then we had some debate of if it's a carnivore or an omnivore. We definitely see a lot of those sharp teeth. But I don't see any of those kind of like grinding teeth.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that's probably not an omnivore.
Yeah, but it's definitely got those very sharp canines that we would see with a carnivore or a meat eater.
Yeah, so this actually is a carnivore, and it is an American crocodile.
Ooh.
All right. So we got one mystery solved. I have another animal.
Great. I think everybody's warmed up and ready for another mystery.
Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. And the poll is now open. You can go ahead and vote.
Just take a few more seconds.
All right.
So it looks like everybody thought it was a prey animal. Yeah, and we can see that those eyes are very clearly like on the side of the skull.
But again, some debate of an herbivore or an omnivore.
So if we're looking really closely at the teeth there, we can see that this skull is actually missing those canines.
Yeah.
Which means it would be pretty much impossible or really hard for them to eat any kind of meat.
So because there's no canines, it's not going to eat any meat. It's going to be an herbivore. So it is not an omnivore. It's going to be an herbivore because it doesn't have those canines. All right. So this animal was a domestic sheep.
So cute.
So we have one more, and this one's been really troubling me.
It's a tricky one.
So let's go ahead and take a look, and let's look closely at some of those teeth. Go ahead and put in your vote. We're going to have about 30 more seconds. See that there's a little bit of a debate going on predator, prey, carnivore, omnivore.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close our poll, and let's see what everybody says.
So overall, it looks like most people voted that it's a predator. And if we look at this skull, we can see that those eyes are right in the front.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a few votes for prey.
Yeah, but a prey was only going to have its eyes on the side.
On the side.
So because they're in the front, definitely is going to be a predator.
Yeah.
And then there was some debate of omnivore or carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely has the canines.
Huge canines.
Huge
yes.
canines. Definitely has those incisors.
Uh-huh.
But also has those molars, and they're flat molars.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me think that there's going to be some grinding that happens. So this animal is an omnivore.
Oh, so it has all three types of those teeth, so it can eat those plants and meat.
Mm-hmm. And this happened to be a mandrill.
Oh, man, look at the size of those canines.
Those are some big canines.
Yeah.
And while it mainly eats vegetables, it can eat some smaller animals and some insects as well.
Oh,
so we got to explore a lot of different types of skulls today, including a lot of the ones that are right behind us. Now, do they always come like this?
No. In fact, sometimes when we get our skulls, they may have some flesh or some fur or some muscle still on them.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at skulls, we like to look at them when they're like this, when they're nice and clean and we can see the different teeth and the eyes. And so we actually will clean our skulls, and we do it in a really special way.
Well, let's go ahead and take a video, or look at a video of the skulls and how they get cleaned here at the Academy. So it looks like those much bigger skulls, they are going to be cleaned with some liquid that will break down all of that flesh.
Oh yeah, those are quite clean.
But it's when smaller skulls, or a skull that has a lot of little nooks and crannies, we actually let them in a tub of beetles.
Oh wow. So I'm seeing some beetles and some larvae in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, those will just eat the flesh?
It will eat the flesh. In fact, we can watch a video of a sea otter skull being eaten over 4 days. So this is a time-lapse video where we can see the beetles and the larvae eating off the flesh.
Wow.
Oh, looks like we're already starting to see some of the white skull.
Yeah. It kind of looks like when they're finished with an area, they move on.
Yeah. So if there's no flesh there, they're just like,
we'll go to another
I'm done.
part. Yeah.
So it only eats flesh. So in this time lapse, it's over 4 days long. So these beetles and their larvae are like decomposers. They're going to eat things that are dead.
Yeah, help break them down.
Wow, look at that. There must be a little bit of flesh left. Otherwise, there'd be no beetles. Wow.
Look at how clean it is.
So that was over 4 days long. Amazing.
That's pretty impressive.
So it is almost time for our time to be up. And I know there's lots of questions that you all might have about our collection or the skulls that we saw today. So we wanted to let you know about some of our most popular skulls we have here in our collection, like our largest skull.
So our largest skull is actually a blue whale skull. And this is 19 feet long. And you can see in this picture, we have one of our scientists in the image. And just for scale, how big that skull is next to him.
And then if we compare that to our smallest skull, that would be our hummingbird skull that can actually fit in the palm of your hand. Now it looks like you're grabbing our smallest skull.
Yeah, I actually have one right here.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can see. It is so tiny and delicate. Oh.
It's really hard to get it on the camera.
There we go. But you can just see the size of it is so tiny.
So we also had a couple of questions about how many skulls we have in our collections. And we actually have probably on the order of tens of thousands of skulls in our collection. In fact, our marine mammal collection, just marine mammals, is probably about 10,000 skulls themselves.
Wow.
That doesn't include some of like our reptiles,
Yeah.
and any other mammals that we have as well.
Somebody's asking where we get our skulls, and they can come from a variety of places. Oftentimes, other museums or universities will donate if they run out of space. We will go out and collect once we have all the proper permits. We will actually collect things that often wash up on our shore. Other collectors will donate as well to the museum.
Yeah, so
no animals are harmed in our collecting.
Nope. And then we have another question that's been kind of popping up. Are teeth considered bones? Actually, no, they are not, because they can fall out, and we actually get new ones coming in. They are not considered bones.
Oh, and how long did it take to get that blue whale skull clean? I don't know exactly how long, but I can tell you how we did it, because I think this is super interesting. What we actually do is we put it up on our roof, and then we bury it under some soil, and the microbes in the soil will actually break down any flesh or anything remaining on the skull. And then after about a year, they'll dig it up and they'll just place it out in the sun, and it will live out in the sun for a while, and anything that's left on the skull that the microbes weren't able to break down will break down over time with the sun.
Yeah, so it's gonna probably be underground for about a year, and then
in the sun
for about a couple months.
Yeah,
depending on how much sun we get here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you all very much for exploring with us today. I know there were a couple of questions of follow-up activities, and we'll be sending out an email to all of you by the end of the day about some of these questions that we didn't get a chance to answer, as well as any follow-up activities that you might be able to do. So thank you all, science detectives, for your very hard work, and we enjoyed exploring with you all today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.